So what's going on, guys? I'm BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another video where today I wanted to show you something from one of the developers at Treyarch. Specifically, he has now been made the lead developer. This is Kevin Drew, or the director I should say, where he talks about a few different things, but the one thing I'm going to focus on is something we speak about in zombies all the time, and that is the ins and outs of zombies development. Specifically, how long it takes to make a map, the testing of Easter eggs, along with other things including what zombies could hold in the future, which could go on to explain why zombies lately has been lacking. Perhaps there are reasons that we don't fully understand, and what we could expect for Treyarch's next zombies installment, which was going to be in 2023, but according to leaks that we've heard recently, could be in 2024 now, since Treyarch's next game apparently has been delayed. They're getting an extra year to work on it, which, considering the state of zombies games we've had recently, Vanguard Zombies, we all know that's completely dead and we're not even halfway through this game's life cycle yet. Treyarch only had 6 months to work on it. Cold War Zombies, yes, it was a lot better, but it still lacked in terms of content, which is what this focuses on, and again, Treyarch only had about 1 year to work on that from what we know. So anyway, getting straight into it, like I said, someone over on Twitter asked Kevin Drew, who is the director of zombies now. He was recently promoted. Previously, he worked on Outbreak and the zombie systems in Cold War, so when Treyarch's next game comes out in 2024, he would have directed it. But anyway, someone asked him, what is the one thing that zombies fans complain about that they truly have no concept of from the dev's perspective? And Kevin replied, probably the time it takes to make a map. A brand new map takes a minimum 3 to 4 months to create, with a team working extra. This doesn't account for testing time, and with quests, it is crucial. Even remakes are challenging, as each game brings new features and depreciates others. Someone then replied back to Kevin saying, well, what about reusing a large portion of whole levels from the campaign, like Firebase C or other Cold War maps? And Kevin replied back, there were some savings with the village section, but there wasn't much with the base. It was almost entirely recreated. So much work goes into even repurposing a space to work for zombies. So this is very relevant to the times, because right now in Vanguard Zombies, one of the major complaints from most people in the community is the fact that this mode uses so much from the campaign and multiplayer. If we look at Duran Fang, that map in its entirety, besides some little small portions I believe that we got given later on, but the hub, Stalingrad, is a multiplayer map. Some of the areas or regions like the windmill, for example, that's from the campaign. Shinonuma is a zombies map that we've had previously, nothing's been changed there. And as Kevin says here, that was also the case for a lot of what we saw in Cold War as well. The starting area for Firebase C, some portions of Maudertoten, pretty much the whole of Forsaken is from the campaign, again besides some changes here and there. The most unique zombies map in Cold War I would have said was D Machine. Yes, we had Nacta and Totem, which is an old zombies map, but other than that, in my opinion, it was the most unique of the lot. As I said, over the past couple of years, that's been a big complaint from the community when we compare maps that we had in Cold War and Vanguard to maps that we've seen in BO3, 2, even some of the BO1 maps, BO4 especially for the Chaos story. I don't think there's any arguments that maps such as Der Eisendrache, Shadows of Evil, Origins, Mob of the Dead are a lot more unique than any map that we've seen recently in zombies. That's been my main complaint as well, but I've always thought in the back of my mind, maybe there is something about the development of these maps that we don't know, and well, how could we? We aren't developers, we don't know the ins and outs, we just know what we see on the surface. And the director of Zombies says that's the main thing that he doesn't think zombies fans understand as well. It's that a map takes time. A brand new map takes a minimum of 3 to 4 months to create. That's without adding in time for testing of maps and testing of Easter eggs, which is very important. Even before, I kind of thought that was about the average amount of time to make a map anyway, 3 to 4 months to make a zombies map, just because if we look at the time intervals between DLC, we usually have to wait about 3 to 4 months for each zombies map. And obviously a lot of zombies maps, especially early DLC, would have been made or would have started to have been made before the game even released. So I would have imagined for BO4, for example, maps like Dead of the Night and Ancient Evil would have at least have started to have been created by Treyarch before BO4 even came out in October, I think it was. And another question is answered here that I would have asked, which was, well, if it takes 3 to 4 months to create a zombies map, are you talking about Cold War's maps or the ones that we saw previously in BO4 or 3, for example? If it would have taken 3 to 4 months to create a map like Der Eisendrache, would it have also taken 3 to 4 months to create a map like Forsaken? Because it's very clear to see how much more unique Der Eisendrache is in terms of assets, also the amount of Easter eggs in Der Eisendrache compared to Forsaken. I can't see how Der Eisendrache took 4 months to make and Forsaken would have taken 4 months to make as well, when from an outsider's point of view, Forsaken looks like half of what Der Eisendrache was in terms of, again, content. Maybe there are exceptions here and there, and when it comes to our most recent zombies modes, for example, as this question poses, with Firebase C, the starting area on that game, as Kevin says, is taken from the campaign. They did save some time there. Would a map like that still taken 3 to 4 months to make? Again, I would say yes, just looking at the gap between zombies maps. Because Firebase C was DLC 1, I think it was about 4 months between the release of Cold War and then Firebase C. So it does sound about right, and it's something we have heard before. As soon as Treyarch release a zombies map, when a DLC drops, they start working on the next one straight away. Obviously, with making these maps, we know it takes time, and with Treyarch's recent games, Cold War and Vanguard, with them having not as much time to work on these compared to BO4, 3, 2, maybe even 1, with them having about 1 year, maybe 1.5 years to work on Cold War, 6 months to work on Vanguard Zombies, compared to the full 3 years they would have had for BO4, it's clear to see and understandable why we don't have as much content in Cold War or Vanguard Zombies, and also why the quality isn't what we're used to. But with Treyarch now having an extra year to work on their next game, so if it does come out in 2024, hopefully that means Zombies could be on the level of BO3 and BO4 in terms of the amount of stuff that we got, maybe not the quality of the actual game. The director of Zombies also answered another question that someone asked, where he said, "We are very aware the community wants more challenge at high rounds and harder to discover elements like older games. We want to find a way to have that without removing everyone's ability to experience the story." Now personally, as someone that's not too good at zombies, this wasn't one of my complaints, but I do know a lot of people who do like more of a challenge, did think that Cold War Zombies was too easy, and Vanguard. I don't go for high rounds, so for me, I'm not bothered, but he is aware that people want more challenges at higher rounds, harder to discover Easter eggs. There's no arguments that the Easter eggs in Cold War Zombies compared to anything we've seen previously are so much easier. Not only are the steps themselves easier, but we also pretty much walk through it now. We are told what to do, whereas before, there was a lot of trial and error. If I had to guess, I would say most Easter eggs in Cold War were solved in a, 2 or 3 hours, whereas BO4, 3, 2 could have taken 4, 5, 6 hours. So they are aware that people want harder to discover elements of Easter eggs like older games, but at the same time they still don't want to remove the ability for everyone to experience the story like they have in Cold War. I would say it is easier now for the general person to do Easter eggs in COD Zombies, and this is good because with Kevin now being the director of Zombies, this is something he can implement into the next game. It's just the question of how are they going to add Easter eggs into Zombies that are hard but also easy at the same time? How can they compensate for both hardcore players, if you want to call it that, and new players? That sounds like something that could be difficult to do. So there's a lot to work on here. I always like it when developers of video games are on Twitter and they can see people's feedback, and especially in this case with him now being the director of Zombies, it means he can take this feedback and directly implement it into their next game. That combined with Treyarch having more time, and possibly with Xbox taking over Activision next year, we could see some pretty big changes in Zombies in the future. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.